let me start by saying I'm not making this video so we could live our lives scared, okay? But I do feel that we could live our lives prepared instead of things happening to us and us having to react. Can we be prepared ahead of time before something happens? And that's my point here today. Okay, so it's about to get crazy, so we're just gonna jump into it.
I personally am very conscious because I live here about kind of putting out information out into the blogosphere because I know that things are definitely being spied upon, and there are actually laws against people circulating misinformation, or as they call it, rumors that are not consistently official from the Chinese government. People will be arrested. They have been arrested.
A number of people were arrested for spreading rumors when they first tried to discuss the fact that there was a new virus going around in China. Turns out these people were all doctors, and we're going to talk about one doctor in particular, and his name is Li Wenliang. Now, I have a screenshot here from the doctors group that he was in, and he basically said, you know, guys, coming out of this seafood market, there are 7 cases of SARS. He actually says SARS, and then he shows like an X-ray or an MRI scan of a lung to basically show the respiratory issues. And he's like, you know, don't spread this around, but, you know, take care of your family, etc., etc. And he even mentions that this is a coronavirus. And then he gets invited, as we say, to tea by the police. Now, if we take a look at this document here from the police station, it's actually quite ridiculous. It's like a written warning. And at the end of it, you can see they actually write, you know, if you continue to, you know, do these illegal spreading of rumors, then you're going to face the full brunt of the law. Do you understand? And then he says, I understand, written there with his fingerprint on it, etc. Now, because he's a doctor, and of course they need doctors in this dire situation, he went back to work. And on the 8th of January, after contact with the patient, he actually contracted the virus and has been in the ICU under intensive care since the 24th of January, where he still continues to fight for his life. Now, this is one of the 8 doctors who were arrested for so-called spreading rumors in the beginning. You see, this is what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with a situation where professional doctors are being silenced and arrested and forced to sign stupid little written warnings in order to prevent the spreading of truth.
This actually, the situation has gone on longer than what's been reported. Longer than what's been reported in the media. Saying it was like pneumonia in Wuhan, and because it's Chinese New Year, they let everybody just kind of like leave. And there are 56 cases that jumped over 24 hours. It was only 25. It's jumped up. We've had 3 deaths. They have blocked off Wuhan. People cannot leave. 5 million people have left, but there are several million that are still there.
Where did they go?
The Americans are airlifting everybody out. The Australians are getting people out of Wuhan. I think the Indians, I think the South Koreans and the Japanese. This ain't no joke.
It's a very dangerous virus, which is why we get to the thing that really annoys me about this is that it has a really long latency period, meaning if you infected me, I would go about 5 days before I would begin to express any symptoms. It would be another maybe 4 days before those symptoms were bad enough for me to go, geez, maybe I should go see a doctor. So there's somewhere between a 9 and a 14-day window before somebody who gets this virus would actually present to the medical establishment. During this whole time, they are infective and infecting other people around them. So here's why I get annoyed by this. The doctors know this, the World Health Organization knows this, certainly all the people at the CDC know this, all of the health specialists in the UK know this, in Europe and Finland, anywhere you want, Asia, Singapore, Japan, they all know this. Now, what would you do if you knew that there were tens of thousands of people infected with this thing who were living in a place, and you were going to have them maybe traveling, getting on little metal tubes, getting in airplanes and traveling to your country? Well, knowing that this has an incubation period where you can't detect any symptoms, I think the responsible thing would be to say no travel. But that's too hard because that would cost a lot of money, so we're not going to do that. But then maybe there would at least be a quarantine period. All you've been reading about is that the security precautions are what they're doing is taking the temperatures of people as they deplane from ground zero, where this virus is known to be endemic and epidemic right now. They're taking the temperature readings by pointing a little something at people's foreheads, and if you don't have a fever, come on in. Completely ineffective. And they know that. But that's not what's being said. They are telling you that you are being protected by screening measures at the airport. So,
second case of coronavirus in Chicago.
And it's unlike any other in the U.S. because the man in his 60s got the virus from his wife.
Health officials have been testing 3 people who might have the virus. Over the weekend, the first was admitted to Bellevue after experiencing symptoms. The other 2 who may be sick are in Queens.
Eyewitness News reporter Candace McCowan is live in Flushing. Candace, good morning.
Ken, Michelle, good morning. I will tell you that all 3 of those suspected cases here in New York City are people who have traveled to mainland China. The most recent 2 are people who are in their 60s. One of those people is hospitalized here at Flushing Medical Center in Queens. Another patient is at New York Presbyterian Hospital in Queens. And like you said, that first patient in the city to be tested for the virus remains in Bellevue Hospital after first feeling symptoms Friday. Officials are awaiting test results from the CDC before they can confirm those cases. Now, this is new travel restrictions have gone into effect. The federal government saying that they are not allowing any Chinese nationals and non-U.S. citizens who've been to China in the last 14 days. They will be denied entry to the U.S. as officials work to contain the spread. There are 11 confirmed U.S. cases of coronavirus, and some are warning about the fear as those numbers continue to increase.
It's understandable that people will feel anxious when there is something new and something that they may not understand.
We are not, as a city, putting up with discrimination or prejudice against Asian New Yorkers because people don't have the facts.
Ooh, that was a lot of fire and brimstone in his voice. I didn't hear all of that when Asian people in the nail salon beat up 2 black women and threw acetone in their face. I didn't hear all that fire and brimstone. Let me tell you something. Asian people are walking around here in masks. You hear me? I drove down the street. They in the car with their masks on.
And I will tell you that U.S. citizens that are coming back from China, depending on where they have been, will be quarantined. Some of those self-quarantined, some of those mandatory. You have the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, saying that any flights coming from China where someone is showing symptoms, that those flights will be rerouted.
An estimated amounts of up to 90,000 people who have this virus.
Wow, that is so scary. Yeah, because like I said, we just started hearing about this maybe like a few days ago, and it's mainly because of those pictures of people eating bats that it's kind of gone viral. So I didn't really know, the backstory, but you're saying that you guys were knowing about this as early as December. Is it being caused from people just eating all types of weird stuff like bats?
Let me go over a few things that you mentioned. The bat soup incident was from this woman who was like this commentator for the show, and she went to some province or some other location in Asia. So the video was actually 2 years old. I believe it comes from 2017, well actually 3 now, but it resurfaced because of this incident. Now, in this market, this wet market basically is where they kind of house a bunch of different things. You can have like a produce wet market, and then a wet market where they house a lot of meats and things like this. But what they were doing, they were selling live animals in there, like snakes, koala. And the reports are that there was issues of cleanliness, which I've lived here in China. They are not the most hygienic people, I'll say that. But there have also been other conspiracies about the origins of this virus. And one of the things that I do remember hearing back in 2014 is the World's Health Body, acting a fool like China, don't set up this biological test facility. Or guess where it's located? Wuhan, exactly where the location of this virus is, the epicenter. I'll send you an article. So that's that. As far as the videos and things, my apologies for no audio, but it's live. It's live. They shut down schools. Everybody's on Spring Festival holiday, which is normal, but a lot of cities have slowed down and stopped train services. Shanghai is a damn desert. There's 30 million people in the city on a regular. 15 million are gone. It is a damn go. It's one of the largest cities in the world.
Where did they go?
We've also had cases here, some deaths here. So, to go back to what you were saying, it is health, hygiene, food consumption, but also possibility of this bioviral center, because the reality of it is this is much bigger than what is being reported. And I watched the World Health Organization's press conference the other day. They acting like the World Trade. They're trying to concern themselves about the economics and pleasing China because they coin is so big now, when in reality, this is something more serious.
The Wuhan coronavirus, people are starting to drop on the floor due to the virus.
I am a nurse. My husband has been infected. What has been reported by the news is completely different from what's really happening. My husband has had a fever for 8 days without improvement. CT scan is showing noticeable infection of the lungs. In the past 8 days, I have tried every possible connection I have all across Wuhan Hospital colleagues, but no one will admit my husband. Higher up informed all doctors to deny acceptance of patients into the hospital, denied testing for the virus, denied confirmation of patients who have been infected, and asked all medical staff to sign a non-disclosure agreement. I have suffered massive emotional drain in the past 8 days. Hospitals won't admit my husband, and I'm too afraid to go home. I'm going from hospital to hospital in hope that anyone would admit my husband. No one would admit that he's infected with the virus. I am almost on the verge of giving up myself. Fear that I won't be able to handle it any longer. Going from hospital to hospital, no open bed, no medical staff, overworked, and still not enough. Finally, I was able to get into the emergency department, but there are no beds and no available staff or beds. Still more patients are being transported in, sick or not sick, all congregated in the same place. Everyone will be infected if this continues. Everyone will die. To all fighting colleagues, the current social order in Wuhan is on the verge of collapsing. Some infected patients have started attacking hospital staff in desperation. If anyone has any way to be informed, contact higher up. My suggestion is to send in military to maintain hospital and social order.
Down the stairs of an apartment block in Wuhan, another victim of the virus is taken away. The city's hospitals are overwhelmed with patients, and the doctors are at breaking point. Hu Ming has just been told a colleague is in a critical condition. Those fighting this infection are among the most at risk. It is from this worsening crisis that 150 Britons have been told they will now escape. Among them will be Natalie Francis.
Once we land, we're being confirmed that we're being taken to a facility somewhere in the northwest. It will be isolated but fully furnished.
For more than a week, those to be evacuated have been living in lockdown, quarantined at the epicentre of an outbreak which has now claimed almost 200 lives and spread around the world.
So I have to read to you where we are on the WHO, World Health Organization, pandemic checklist. Dan, bring this up, because look at this. Phase 1, if you're in phase 1, no animal influenza virus circulating among animals has been reported to cause infection in humans. Cross that one out. Phase 2, an animal influenza virus circulating in domesticated or wild animals is known to have caused infection in humans and is therefore considered a specific potential pandemic threat. Oops, cross that one out. We're way past that one. How about phase 3? Have we made it to phase 3? That's where an animal or human animal influenza reassortant virus, and that's what we have here, remember, bat, snake, human, has caused sporadic cases or small clusters of disease in people, but has not resulted in human-to-human transmission sufficient to sustain community-level outbreaks. Cross that one off, because we're way past phase 3. We're here at phase 4 on this pandemic checklist where human-to-human transmission of an animal or human-animal influenza reassortant virus able to sustain community-level outbreaks has been verified.
Kobe Bryant had the means to be a formidable opponent of Big Pharma. He already started being so. China was trying to cover up what was happening in their country, in Wuhan, the same city that has headquarters, subsidiary companies, about 5 or 6 of them shits, in Wuhan, China. The entire world was completely distracted by Kobe Bryant's death. His death accomplished 2 things for his enemy.
So they really trying to kill the people in Hong Kong. For those of you who don't know, the people in Hong Kong have been rioting and protesting since about the summer of last year, and they really want it to stop because it's costing them money, and I think they have figured out a way to make it stop.
You need to have an N95 mask or N100 mask. The Chinese doctors were getting sick because the virus was getting into their body through their membranes of their eyeballs. So you need to have goggles.
I'm fucking around. I know it looks crazy, but the situation is like, I know I'm healthy as a horse, right? But I don't want a situation where I end up being a carrier and then I get somebody that I love sick who's not quite as healthy as I am. And that's the thing. Like, there's a case right now in Queens where the guy, he got it from his wife, who I believe went to China, and she's fine. She's going to recover, but he's in critical because he has a prior existing medical condition. So, you know, shit is getting really real. If you work in a medical profession, you should not be fucking around. Like, I got 2 masks on. This is that cheap shit, and this is the good shit. This is a N95. And this keeps, I got 2 masks on. I'm not playing around. You guys shouldn't either. Because they keep saying, oh, you know, we don't know. They keep saying that 5 million people left Wuhan. Where the fuck did they go? It's the Chinese New Year. When it's our holiday season, what do? We travel, don't we? We travel, we go see our family. So if 5 million people are out of the city, where the fuck are they? Okay? We don't have to be scared. I'm not scared. I'm not running around here scared. I'm prepared like a motherfucker, okay? I'm not scared. I'm going to drink my sea moss, okay? I'm going to drink my sea moss. I'm going to take my vitamin C. I'm going to take my zinc. I'm going to wear my mask. I'm going to wear my goggles because don't get started. Y'all start wearing y'all mask out here in these streets. They already got 3 cases that they testing for today. To this day. I just want you guys to be, you know, up on y'all shit. You know, I'm not going to be the only one out here up on my shit. I want y'all to be up on y'all shit too, okay? And keep like I got family members who are diabetics. I got family members who have, you know, other health ailments. I don't want to be the cause of them getting sick because of my job. You understand what I'm saying? So I know, especially in New York, there's mad black doctors, mad black nurses, mad black people who work in these jobs. Like, I just came out the house, I told brother, I'm like, where is your mask? You sitting here talking to one, where's your mask? Somebody coming in here, they come into the hospital because they sick. You don't know what they sick from. Get your mask, get ready, don't get scared, be prepared.
Sign up for free text alerts. You can find the link in my bio or in the description.